What is happening, all my friends at YouTube? How are you doing today? My name is Mike. This channel is Health and Wealth. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about NVDA. We're going to take a look at past performance here over the last year. And since it's inception, everybody say that word with me one time slow, inception. And we're going to talk about your return if you were invested from day one compared to invested a year ago, as well as, a comparison between it and the S&P 500, as well as a comparison with NVDA and NVDA. So this has been a pretty successful series. I've already talked about Coney in previous videos. I'm going to release another video tomorrow on Coney about that, very similar to today's video. So if you enjoy this content, consider tapping the like button as well as the subscribe to join the other 3,400 human beings. So let's get into it today. Again, if you don't know me, my name is Mike. I am an investor in YieldMax funds right now. My top three funds that I invest in are NVDA, Misty, and Coney. And, I have a dream. My dream is to retire as soon as humanly possible. And finding these high yield distribution paying ETFs has been really, really good. But I like to come at them with a grain of salt because they do have some downside to them as well. We're going to discuss that today. So what we'll do, we'll take a look at NVIDIA and NVIDIA first. We'll take a look at their 1 year performance on each of them. So NVIDIA had a really good year. However, the last few months, it's gone down just a little bit here. If you look at the last month, down 2.5%, nothing too crazy. And then today, down just a little bit, but $137. If you don't know, I have 10 shares of NVIDIA. So this is one that I bought the underlying as well as the YieldMax NVDA ETF. And actually, it's my biggest holding. So I have I have 337 shares of NVDA and I have 10 shares of NVIDIA. And I'm looking for this to get to $190, and then, we'll reassess at that point. But I have a feeling NVIDIA, over the next couple of years is going to continue to grow. It does have earnings coming up next week on the 26th, I believe it is. But this is one of those beasts out there that continues to do really, really well all the time, right? Now, NVIDIA itself is in a bit of a down slump because of NVIDIA, right? So $21.62, but when it came out, it was $20. So if you're an initial holder of NVIDIA, you are still up on your capital, on your original investment. But I mean, if we take a look at the last 6 months, it's down 16%. But same with NVIDIA, right? It was down there as well. But I mean, if you look at the last, since its inception, you're still up 7.92%. And this came out May 12th, 2023. So we're coming up here on 2 years of NVIDIA. And what I want to do is take a look at a website here called the dividendchannel.com. What I've done is I've typed in NVIDIA at the very top up here. And then I just hit enter. And it gives me a bunch of information about NVIDIA on the right-hand side. I'll zoom into it as best as possible here for you. It's just above my head. So current price, $21.66. Lots of volume on that. And the market value, $1.58 billion. That's insane. Its last distribution was 82 cents. Last month in January, it paid twice, actually, which was pretty awesome. And then, so its distribution date is going to be next week. And so how it's going to pay out is on Wednesday will be the announcement of the distribution. And then on Thursday is called the X distribution date, X div date. What some people's strategy is they invest, let's say it pays out another 80 cents as an example. Okay. What they do is they find 80 cents times however many they want to, or however much that distribution is going to be. They buy on the X dividend date. Because the share price should dip about that 80 cents, depending on if the market goes down or up that day, but should dip about 80 cents. And what they're hoping for is that over the next month, that the price goes back up that 80 cents. That's the hopes and the dreams. And they want to buy those shares at a discount. And then you get paid on, for some of you, on the Friday. For people like myself, it's on Monday. But you replenish your funds at that point. Not a bad strategy at all. You can see the dividend yield currently 45%, but let's go take a look at some of the distributions that's paid out so far. You can see all the way down here to June, all the way up to now, tons and tons of dividends and distributions since then, which is really, really awesome. I've gone ahead and opened up a chart. I've compared NVDA to the S&P 500, and I did it for the last year. That's it. Okay, just for the last year for now. We'll go take a look at the its entire inception compared to the SPY, and then we'll do the same thing compared to NVIDIA if you had bought NVIDIA or NVIDIA in the 1 year part, and then forever, right? So pretty cool little analysis here. Let's start at the top. So we got February 1st date here of 2024. The share price back on February 1st, 2024 was $25.35. It is now 21, 67, give or take a few cents there. Your starting shares, if you had $10,000, was 394 shares compared to 20 over at the SPY, S&P 500. And if you don't know much about the S&P 500, this is what everybody, all of the gurus say. You got to invest in the S&P 500, leave it in there for 20 years and come out as a millionaire. But this is the new way of doing things, which is high yield. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a new way of doing it. Yield Max has been around for a couple of years now, a little bit more than a couple of years, but yeah, so it's kind of new compared to the S&P 500, which has been out, virtually forever. But let's continue on with our journey here. So if we use DRIP, Dividend Reinvestment Program, which means that the shares are automatically reinvested back into the ETF here, at the end of that 1 year, you would have ended up with 865 shares compared to your start at 394. Pretty impressive. Your dividends reinvested was $20, right? So you're only $5 off your initial investment over that 1 year. Total return 87%, but your actual return, because the share price went down, is 81%. And you think to yourself, holy smokes, is that sustainable? Nobody knows. Nobody knows if that's sustainable. In fact, over the last few months, it's not. It's gone down because the volume of NVIDIA has gone down as well. But 81% in 1 year is what you had received if you invested your money on February 1st, 2024 compared to now. This is incredible. So if you take a look at your starting investment of $10,000, you would now have $18,764. Massive, massive difference compared to the S&P 500. Now, again, just if I haven't said it, I want to say it now. Past performance doesn't mean this is going to happen in the future. So be cautious if you're investing your money in this. Understand that there are risks. One of the risks is the underlying stock, NVIDIA, goes down. So will your share price here. Another big risk is that Yield Max yields too close, or how do I want to say this? They set their strike prices too close to the underlying, and then they, let's say they make $1 on their premium, but then they have to buy to close for $4, right? That's kind of money out of your earnings that you could get from distributions. These are all kind of negatives that could happen. And before you invest in anything, you definitely want to investigate. But back to the point of this video, we're talking about what happened in the past year. So down below, the second example here, this is if you didn't reinvest, you just took the cash every single distribution. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 or 3 months now, just paying down debt. But you can see the difference here. Starting price, everything's the same, but your total return is quite a bit different, isn't it? 66%. Your average annual total return would be 62%, right? So 20% less, and then about $2,100 less in total received money, ending investment there. So that's quite a bit different for sure. So by just automatically dripping your shares back in, you most likely, well, you did. You made more money here in that year period. If you did it yourself and you invested on the X distribution date, you for sure made more money than these two examples right here, just to put that into perspective for you. So that's a look at the 1 year. Let's go look at the since the NVDA came out. So to do that, I just go kind of down to the bottom of the page here. I go May. I think it said 2023. Yes, it did. So we'll click on 2023, and we'll compare it to the S&P 500. And here it goes. Such an amazing website here. It's so convenient, easy to look at. So this is from inception. I'm going to kind of ignore most of the numbers up top because we've already talked about that. But I do want to talk about the starting price point of NVDA here, $19.91. So you can see it is up in share price so far. Your starting shares, you got a little bit more because you invested when the share price was a little bit lower. But you ended at 1,418, right? So you've almost, not quite, but you've almost tripled the amount of shares you've had while you're dripping. You've got $26.31. So you've surpassed what you originally invested in the fund, right? Total return 207%. And average annual return 87%. But I mean, if we take a look at your initial $10,000 that you put in on day one of this fund coming out, because it had a massive run up, your end investment here would be $30,727. And I mean, we're talking not even 2 years. We're talking, what's the math on that? Well, I don't know, 21 months. 21 months and you're up $20,000. That's pretty incredible. So safe to say that was a good investment for sure. Now, if we do it without drip, you're still up $14,000 here in your ending investment since day one of investing in this fund. I didn't invest. I started investing in NVDA not even a year ago. It was about April I started. So I haven't recouped all of my money yet either, but yeah, so far it's been a pretty good investment for me. What I want to do is I want to compare it between NVDA and NVDA. So I've got the chart up between NVDA and NVDA here. This is the 1 year, right? So February 1st of last year compared to this year. And it's been pretty impressive. NVIDIA had a massive run up here. Now the blue is going to be your NVIDIA, and the green, I'm colorblind. Let me get a little closer. I think that's green. It could be black. Is NVIDIA. You guys tell me, what color is that? But yeah, take a look. Initial investment, $25. Your share price has come down in that time period for many different factors. What's the biggest one? I don't know. It's tough to say. Are they paying us too much money? I mean, let's take a look. That's probably the reason. But the underlying has skyrocketed in that 1 year period. It went from $63 up to $140. So if you dripped your shares all the way here, starting at $10,000, you can see the difference. On NVIDIA, you'd have 18,764, but on NVIDIA, you'd have 22,000. So this is a good case of buying the underlying. Would have made sense. And for me, I've recently purchased 10 shares of NVIDIA to hopefully capture some of this upside over the next few years. And I'm kind of double dipping right now. I've got NVIDIA and NVIDIA in hopes that I can double dip that to retirement as soon as humanly possible. Tell me in the chat, in the comments, why are you investing in high risk, high yield distributions? What is your plan with these? What are you trying to do in life? For me, it's get out of work quick, right? Retire. Let's take a look at the non-drip version here. So I'm going to kind of just scroll all the way to the bottom here, just highlight the bottom row. So you can see if you're not dripping, you're just enjoying those shares, that distribution every month and going out and spending it on whatever you want. Well, you did make $6,688. And then if you had them invested in NVIDIA instead, you would have made, what's the math on that? 12,000. Oh my goodness. Yeah, $12,234, right? So you would have doubled your income there without dripping. So you can see by reinvesting in this fund, it has made you more money. Obviously, every single month, you're going to have more and more shares in that fund. That's going to increase the amount of money you get from your distribution. Now, a lot of people, what they do, like I mentioned in other videos, is that they purchase shares on the X distribution date. And the reason they do that is because the share price will drop on X date. And then they buy the shares on that date to get a discount on those. So that's the big reason. Let's take a look at the, not just 1 year, but since inception of NVIDIA, how the two compared. So I have it open here now. So May 11th 2023 compared to now. So you can see it's been good for both of them, that's for sure. Let's scroll down. You started at 502 shares compared to 349 for NVIDIA. Wow, look at that share price of NVIDIA. If we can only go back in time, $28.58. Oh my goodness. But look at your ending shares on NVIDIA. I'm highlighting it in blue here, 1,418. You've dripped. You haven't touched it. You've set it and forget it. Your dividends that you have reinvested is $26. So you've made $7 on top of your initial investment. This is massive, and it's actually almost unheard of how amazing that is. Total return, 207%. Your average annual total return is 87%. That number is coming down lately because of the volatility of NVIDIA slowing down. But if you initially invested $10,000, you'd be at $30,000 by doing absolutely nothing, just letting your shares reinvest every single month. If you had invested in NVIDIA itself at the same time, you would be up to $49,000 right now, which is a massive 390% increase in that. What is that? Almost 2 years, right? 21 months, give or take a month there. That's incredible. You can see by the blue line, NVIDIA has definitely skyrocketed. And down below is if you didn't drip. So NVIDIA is going to be the same price in blue over here, but NVDA will be different because you're not reinvesting your shares in. You're just keeping the 100, what is it? How many do you have here? The 502 shares in there. And you're just letting the 502 shares pay you a distribution every single month or every 4 weeks now. So you made, so your ending investment is $24,094.11. So pretty good for not doing anything, just taking your cash out, going to spend it on whatever you want. I think both were a great investment. And for me, I am looking to buy, or I'm looking to buy and hold NVIDIA right now because I think NVIDIA over the next 2-3 years is just going to be expanding, growing. They are the top company in the world right now with their AI and their chips and their Blackwells and, gaming consoles and things like that. I just think that NVIDIA is the company of the future, but today. So that's why I'm invested in it. But do me a favor, please don't take investing advice from me or any other people on YouTube. We are just here to provide entertainment. I know I am. So if you're entertained by this video, consider hitting the membership button down below. I'd love to have you as part of the team. I'm going to end it right there. My name is Mike. This channel is Health and Wealth. I hope that you have the best day. Bye for now.